Hello everyone, and thank you for your patience for waiting for all participants to join us to the SysAid Academy monthly live webinar. This specific webinar will focus about understanding SLM, SLA, SLM module within SysAid. And let me begin. As in any webinar, this specific webinar will include three main parts. The first part will be a short introduction, will be done by me. My name is Hanan Baranes. I'm SysAid Professional Services Manager. The second part, for those of you who missed Joseph, that wasn't in the last webinar, he was on company mission in Vancouver. All technical highlights regarding this specific module will be, let me move to 3D Mix so you can see the slides as well. All technical highlights will be provided by Mr. Joseph Zargari, Customer Relation Team Leader. And then I would like to spend a few minutes to talk about the SysAid IT 8.5 beta process. As you probably know, we've just launched yesterday our new beta for version 8.5, and I would like to spend a few minutes about that. By the way, our representatives are available for you on our online chat. Let me just show you for a minute where you can see this specific. Sorry about that, just a second. Yes. If I will go to the live stream where you can see the broadcast right now, you have here an icon where you can submit your questions during this online webinar, and you have a running banner just below the screen, just below your screen, where you can click and join our online representative and ask any questions that you have. So let me begin. What is SLA? SLA is a service level agreement. I'm probably all familiar with this term inside your organization. And this is a negotiated agreement between a customer and service provider. The service provider probably will be you as an IT department, and the customer can be an internal customer inside your organization, or it can be an external customer outside of your organization. The SLA, which is the agreement itself, will base in high level, will include key service targets. It will also include responsibilities of both parties, for you as an IT department and the customer. It will have reporting methodology, and Joseph will show it during the session how you can view the results and if you stand or breached the specific SLA that you signed with your customer. And it will also include penalties, mostly when billing and money is involved in this process. If I will go, let me show full screen so we can see the slides a little bit better. If we will go into more detailed aspect, the SLA, the agreement itself, will include the delivery time of the specific service. It will include the MTBF. I believe it's also a phrase that most of you are familiar with. It's the mean time between failures. It will include mean time to repair, recover if you have a specific issue inside your department. So it will include how long it will take you to recover from this specific issue. It will also include priorities, responsibilities, guarantees, and warranties. All of this must be included in the agreement signed between the IT department and the customer. It will also include availability, serviceability, performance, and operation based on the service you need to provide. And of course, any other attribute that you would like to include inside this specific agreement, include billing and penalties if necessary. There are a lot of types of SLA. I decided to focus on the main three types of SLA. One of them will be, the first one will be service-based. Mean you will provide different service for different services inside the organization. For example, all issues regarding email services should be applied within 30 minutes, for example. And all issues regarding the CRM software or the CRM system should be applied within 2 hours, and so on and so forth. So each and every service inside the organization will get a different SLA. The second type of SLA that I decided to focus on is the customer-based. with one or group of specific customers for all services they are using will get a different SLA. For example, if the CEO submit an issue inside your organization, it should be treated within 1 hour. But if a regular employee submits the same issue, he will get a 4 hours treatment or 4 hours service. So you distinguish between the different agreement and the different service based on the customer who submit the issue. And multi-level SLA is just a mix of the first two, service and customer. So different services and different customers will apply to different agreements and different SLA inside your organization. You also probably heard the word or the phrase called OLA. So I would like to focus what's the difference between SLA and OLA. OLA stands for Operational Level Agreement, where SLA is related to the customer, the agreement you signed with your customer. OLA is between functional IT groups in relation to each other, and it's all the agreements that you sign in order to support the SLA that you signed with your customer. If you can see this diagram, the customer is at the top. This is the IT department. With the customer, you sign on SLA, and with internal departments or other departments inside your organization, you have a contract called OLA, and all of these OLA will help you to stand the SLA that you signed with your specific customer. So it can be with other departments, it can be with external vendors or internal vendors, or it can be with other internal IT groups inside your organization. Why to implement SLA? Well, there are many reasons inside the documentation why you need to implement SLA. I decided to focus on the main two as we can see them right here in SysAid. First of all, if all expectations were set with the customer prior to the service you provide, you will have by the end of the process a satisfied customer. If you will stand the SLA that you signed with your customer and you know what's to expect to, and everything is set by according to this expectation, you will have a satisfied customer by the end of this issue, by the end of the week, by the end of the month, by the end of the year. So in order to have a satisfied customer, one of the most important things is to set the expectations and to stand, of course, the SLA. And setting the SLA inside your organization will ensure the quality of service for your organization. And Joseph again will focus on measurements inside the SLA module. And let me just show my screen, show my face again to you. And having these measurements and measuring everything and to ensure the quality of service, it's very important part inside the SLA. So I will move now the mic to Mr. Joseph Zargari, and he will speak with you about technical and how the SLM module is implemented within SysAid. So Joseph, please.
Thank you very much. So Hanan basically started by talking about the aspects in terms of general ITIL aspects relating to SLA and SLM. Let me just put my presentation back on. And I would like to begin where Hanan left off with a simple definition taken from Wikipedia on service level agreement. That's basically a contract that defines what levels of service should be provided. Let's take a look, let's dive into SysAid and take a look how we can set those up in SysAid. First of all, I would like to list a few tools we have to handle service level agreements. We've got automatic due dates that help us to set the expectation when a service request or by what time service request should be solved by. We've got operating times to set the expectation. What's the operating times of the IT department? That would help the end user that would tell the end user how, in which times they can expect answers. Building upon operating times, we also have got timers. Timers will count the time service requests spend in specific, meeting a specific condition. So you can tell how long it took to solve a service request. You'll know how long it took to reply to a service request. Also, we've got routing, which would help us to move the service request automatically to the person in charge or the group in charge of that specific type of service request. We've got automatic priority, so we can set higher priority on certain occasions, like more important users, more important computers, more important topics. So these are the tools we currently have, and I'd like to jump into SysAid and show you that. Let me just switch to full screen and go to my browser here. By the way, everything we're showing today is in SysAid 8.5, which will be released next month. We're in beta. We actually released it yesterday, so some of the screens may appear different. For example, that login screen. If you have Active Directory integration, show you the selection for domain. Exciting new features. So let's start by looking at the regular implementation of SysAid. Each one of you has under service desk or help desk, you'll have service desk settings or help desk settings, and then we can look at all these tabs here. For example, due dates. That's a definition of how long service request should be solved by. For example, if you set let's say network related issues to be solved within 4 hours, let's say. Okay, I did that just based on category. You could do that based on urgency, priority, even by company, but I just set up a simple due date rule of 4 hours. Okay, you can then look at operating times and see what time your standard IT support is operating at. I've got weekdays 9 to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and you can also work weekends if you want. Based on that, we've got timers, and I have two built-in timers here. Time to repair and time to respond. Each installation of SysAid comes with those two built in, and the conditions are showing here. For example, time to respond is counting how long a service request is pending in status new, and it's only going to count within the operating time. So if a service request gets submitted at 4:30 p.m., it's beyond our closing time. It will only start counting the time on 9 a.m. the following morning. Time to repair, for example, is looking how long service requests spent in status closed, or actually didn't spend in status closed, didn't spend in status verified closed, and didn't spend in status deleted. So any other active status, that timer will continue to count. And you can create more timers here. Some implementations will have 5 timers, some will have 10. You'll have 10 if you have the SLA module, the SLM module, which we'll show in a second. If you do have that, you'll have 10 timers to set up. Now, based on these timers are based on the operating times. I already mentioned that. What I do want to show is you could configure escalation rules based on timers or based on due dates. So, for example, you want to send a notification on active statuses. Let's say you want to do that, I don't know, 30 minutes. Let's do 30 minutes before the due date. Or you could do when a certain timer, no, that's actually the third bullet here, certain amount of time passed on a certain timer. We've got the two pre-configured timers here. So you could do, let's say, 30 minutes before the due date, automatically send a notification to the assigned administrator. You can set up whatever text you want here, and that rule will apply. Oh, of course I need a rule name. Let's do test 1. That will apply to every service request. It will just send a notification to the assigned administrator that the service request they are assigned to is about in 30 minutes. It will go beyond the due date. We also have got routing, so you can automatically route service requests based on the company or user group or category. So let's say network goes to a specific administrator or a specific administrator group. So I don't know, choose whatever group you want, network team or something like that. And last but not least is priorities. You can set up automatic priorities based on the asset or the asset group. You could also set that by the user, department, or company, and set just the higher priorities, different than the default. Another surprise we have for SysAid 8.5 is the priority matrix, but I'm gonna leave something to look forward to. Join us for the presentation of SysAid 8.5 for the release next month,
yeah.
February. So something to look forward to. These are the basic rules any one of you could set up in your system, in your SysAid. It doesn't require anything special, any additional modules or anything, but these are all default rules. These will work on, system-wide. What happens when different users require different levels of services? For example, Hanan stated an example of executives. If you got the CEO, the CIO, the CTO requiring service in a higher level, shorter response time, higher support levels, then you'll need to set up different types of agreements for each type. So after you set up the different agreements, you could set up different due dates, operating times, timers, routings, etc. After you have the different agreements with the different rules, more strict, due dates, operating times that last beyond the normal operating times, routing to more higher level groups or so, then you could associate those special agreements with companies or users. For example, if you provide IT services to external companies, if you're IT consulting business, then you could create few different levels of service as different agreements, and then associate the companies with their appropriate agreements. Furthermore, you could also set up users to different agreements than what the company has. So if you want to provide a silver agreement for a company but provide a gold agreement for that company's executives, you'll set the silver agreement on companies and the gold agreement on those executive users, and the agreement set on the user will always overrule the agreement set for the company. Let's take a look at how agreements are set up in SysAid. So this part where we're going now, the SLA module, requires additional licensing. So if you don't have that module yet and you want to try it, just contact your account manager within our customer's relation, within our customer relation department, and ask for a secondary license for it. We'll just give you a license to evaluate that module. You can play with it and see if you want it. First page here is service agreements. That's where you would define your agreements. By default, you'll get that first default SLA, And if you don't have that module, any rule you'll set up before getting the SLA module will automatically go into the default SLA, whereas other agreements could be defined here. I'll just create another one. I have gold SLA. I can create another one. Let's say silver SLA. Apply, and I can then set up whatever different types of rules I have. For example, I gave network issues. I gave 4 hours for standard for the default SLA. I can say for silver it's 2 hours. Click add here, and now you can only see the due date rules that are specific to the silver SLA, because we are looking at the silver SLA agreement. If I go back into service desk and then service desk settings, system is a bit slow here, so bear with me. Under due dates, you can see I've got 2 rules now, both for network, everything is the same. One is set to 2 hours, one is set to 4 hours, but the difference is right here. The one for 2 hours is for the silver SLA, the other one is for all other agreements, or basically anything that wasn't set by a specific agreement. So this is where you can see all the due date rules, all the routing rules, all the escalation rules, and then you can also filter by the agreement. Or you can go directly into the agreement and just see the relevant due dates for that specific agreement. Let's see how we can associate the agreements with the companies and users. Second thing you'll see new here is under the main menu, we've got user management. It was taken out of the preferences menu. We've got user management here. I can go and say a certain company here, for example Acme, will have a different SLA. So let's say Acme will take the silver SLA, and we can go even deeper into an end user. Let's take Michael. Let's say Michael is the CEO for Acme. Let's associate Michael with Acme and give Michael a gold SLA. When Michael submits a service request now...
Well, Michael Jordan deserves a gold SLA.
Yeah, he does. Michael Jordan deserves a gold SLA. So Michael, when he submits a service request, he will get better service because he's associated with the gold SLA. Even though he's associated with a company with a silver SLA, the one set on the user overrides. So this is how we associate companies and users with the agreements, and according to the agreement set on those, you will get the appropriate rules running on the service request they submit. Now let's proceed and talk about service level management. Okay, everything we did up to now is service level agreement, how to manage your service level agreements, how to set up the rules. Now let's see how we can manage and monitor our results using service level management. So SLM allows us to configure measurements that will help us to determine how well we did in meeting the requirements, the commitments we made. So we're going to set up a parent measurement. I'll show you how to group relevant measurements together. So for example, the default is SR types, so measurements that are related to incidents will be grouped together. Measurements that relate to change management will be grouped differently. Using measurement lists, we will be able to automatically calculate ratios and summaries and counts, averages, and minimum or maximum values of service requests. Now it might sound a little bit confusing, but we'll get to that in a second and show you how that all works. We're going to see that it is possible to set the results to show information on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, or on a yearly basis. There's actually another option which is total, which will show you details from all times. You would usually not use that. I did for my presentation to show you more interesting information, but generally you would probably choose between daily, monthly, or yearly. And eventually, to get a grade, that's the goal, right? You want to get a number, see how well you did. You'll set up your SLA goals, which is what you committed on. And you'll also set up internal goals, which would probably be more ambitious because you do want to perform better than you committed. So you want to set a more ambitious goals internally. And it's all going to be on a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 is bad and 100, closer to 100 is better. Let's take a look at that in SysAid. And I'm going to start by looking into the service management page here. We'll then go look at measurements and measurement list. So looking here, let me just unzoom so we can see everything better. What I see here are the different measurements. I hope you can read that. It's a little small and the resolution might not be best. Let me just zoom in so you can see better. So let's take a look at the first one here. Percent resolved by first level. This will count what's the percentage of service requests resolved by tier 1, okay? And that's going to take two different measurements, and we'll look into that in a second. Right now, the ratio is 76%, and it's right here on the yellow zone, okay? So we're going to look at those three zones, how we can configure those zones. But it's somewhere on the yellow zone. It's not very good, but it's not very bad either. Let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at time to resolve, okay? Time to resolve, I've got 959 minutes. That's my current timer. And it's rated at 65%. So again, yellow zone. Let's take a look at one more. Percent of reopened incidents. Okay, we've got 2% of service requests reopened. So after they were closed, they got reopened. That's a really good number because our goals are 5%. And let's take advantage of this opportunity and talk about the goals. We've got the grade here. 100, meaning optimum result, is 5% declared on SLA. That's our goal. That's our ambition. Having less than 5% of reopened service requests. 10 would align with 80%. That's our warning. And critical would go with that at 20%. So that defines our red, yellow, and green zones. Green is between 5 and 10. Okay. Yellow is 10 to 20, and red is 20 or above. Now let's take a look at how those measurements are defined in the SLM module. Let's take a look at one of the measurements, and I'm going to take a look at the percent closed by first level, percent resolved by first level. Okay, this is the name of the measurement. It's tied with the default SLA. You can create another one for your silver SLA or gold SLA. And that's whether if you want to enable it or not. Sometimes you create measurements that are not ready to be published, so disable those until they're set correctly. Parent measurement is where you want to group that one. So since it relates to incidents, I'm going to group it with the incident management parent. Weight, most of them, well, all of them by default will come in with weight of 1. But if there's a specific measurement that is more important for you, that you would like to affect more on the grouped result, and we'll see that in a moment, let me just save this one as weight 1. and then we'll see how it affects later. We'll get to that shortly. My units here, since it's a ratio, it's going to be percent. I'm going to end up with a percentage, and that's just caption. Doesn't really matter what you write here, just needs to make sense. So I could also do the percent sign. My formula here is calculated automatically. It's calculated as a ratio. I can do summary or count or average or minimum maximum value, and my ratio here is configured to look at the resolved by first level, the amount of service requests resolved by first level, and divided by the amount of closed incidents in total. Okay, so if I look at the current results for resolved by first level, I've got 348 pages. I've got 10 records per page, so it's somewhere in the 3,400 range, 3,400 service requests resolved by first level. Whereas if I look at all service requests, I've got somewhere in the range of 4,600 service requests. So divide the two numbers, we get approximately 76%. That's our result, and we need to define what's our goal. Of course, there's no point in setting a goal of 100% for all service requests to be solved by first level. That wouldn't make much sense, because then we wouldn't need second level, third level. What we would like to do here is say I would be really happy if 95% of my service requests, or let's say 90% of my service requests, will be solved by first level support, first tier 1 basically. I'm going to set the second bar to 70% and third bar to 60%, and let's say my internal goal, my more ambitious goals, would be 95%, and then maybe 75%, and then let's say 55%. I can apply and go look at the difference it made. I'm going to go here, and under percent resolved by first level, you can see my goals are set here. The bar moved a bit, so the needle is closer now to the green zone. I've got the 76%, it's just closer to the green zone now. Let's take a look at how those we were talking about, which one was it? That one? We're talking about resolved by first level and closed incidents. What are those? How do I define those? What determines if that's resolved by first level or if it's closed incidents? Those are defined in measurement lists. In measurement lists, you can see resolved by first level is a measurement list that looks into the service request number. It doesn't really matter which field you're going to look into, so in most cases you can just choose the number field. It's going to look at the close time, so you always want to, when you calculate the results on a monthly basis, you're going to want to look at the service request closed on that month, not the service request that was submitted that month. You could define if you want to look at all service requests or just the ones that are still active, the ones that are closed, or the ones that are ignored. You can go deeper in the filters to include specific statuses. If you want to concentrate on incidents like I did, you can choose incidents, but you can go with more than just one type. And eventually you can also add whatever filter you want. So I added a filter for max support level equals 1. That would determine that my service request got submitted, the furthest it ever reached was support level 1, so it never reached tier 2 or tier 3 and so on. If we look at the other one, the closed incidents measurement list, we'll see it's just looking at close time, all closed service requests, well, only incidents, with no other filters. So it's going to count all service requests that are closed within the range I set up. Let's create another one just for the just for the heck of it, I'm going to create one for counting what's the percentage of service requests that breached the due date. So I'm going to do due date breached, and I'm going to choose the service request number as the field name to look at. Again, this wouldn't affect much. It would only affect what you see on the show current results. For date based on, we're always going to look at the close time, and we're always going to look at closed service requests. We only want to measure them when they're closed. And let's take a look at incidents only. And my additional filter would be on the due date field, and I only want to get service requests counted here if the close time is greater than the due date. That means that they were closed after that due date that was set on them. Let's create the filter. Let's apply. I also need one to count all closed incidents, but I already have that measurement. So all I have left to do is just go create the new measurement and say due date breached. I'm going to enable it straight away. Let's give it a weight of 1. No, let's give it a weight of 5. It's an important measurement to look at. And that would be a percentage. And it's going to be automatically calculated. We've got ratio between two measurements to look at. We've got the due date breached divided by the closed incidents, and let's do total. Let's take a look at the results for all times. I'm going to apply here, and I'm going to need to recalculate to get the first number showing here. Right now it doesn't show me any number, so let's do recalculate, and I'm going to get a result of 9.8% of closed incidents actually breached the due date that was set on them. I don't think that's a really good result, so let's set up our goals here. Let's say I commit on, let's say my optimum would be 5%. Okay, that makes sense. There's no, you can't really go for 0 because there's always going to be things you'll miss, and you'll need to take that into consideration. 5% I think is a fairly good number. Let's say 15% would be warning, and let's say 25% would be my critical point. Let's do the same here, even though, as I mentioned, it is better to set the more ambitious internal goals than what you're actually committing on in contract. So at that point, we're done with the calculation. We could go to service level management and see there is my new measurement. You can go in, and I can see right now my 9.8% is at the red zone. I don't think that's right. Perhaps I should recalculate this. It should actually be, I think the weight here might affect that. Yeah, no, I just needed to recalculate this. So I'm getting 9.8%. It's in the green zone because it's between 5 and 15. Okay, so I'm at the 90% approximately, and it means I'm in a good shape. Since I gave it a weight of 5 and my results is fairly good, it's going to pull the grouped grade up. So I can I think I might need to recalculate here as well. So let's do that and see what's the result we're getting. If I look at incident management, I'm looking at a combination of all measurements in that group, and it's going to do an average of all of them. The ones with a higher weight will eventually get more credit on that calculation. So I've got about 81% here. I'm in the green zone. So overall, I'm standing pretty good. And if I have, yeah, let me just take one more minute. I didn't really plan to show this, but Let's take a look at, we talked about max support level, and I just wanted to show you what that means. I'm going to go into one of the service requests and show you those fields. We've got a few fields that we added, I think in SysAid 7.0 or something like that, to support the new SLA module that was back then new. Assign counter will show you how many times this service request got reassigned from one admin to another. Current support level will show you the support level of the administrator group that is currently assigned to it. I think the alerts team just doesn't have, the support level is just 0. Max support level is what's the highest level of admin group that was assigned to this service request ever. That's what we were looking at on that measurement. And reopen counter counts how many times this service request got closed and then reopened. That would tell you if a service request keeps getting reopened, something's wrong there, and the solution isn't real. So you will probably need to take this into consideration. Okay, going back to Hanan.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank God you came back from Vancouver. Otherwise, I would have to do this live session regarding the SLA SLM module. Let me speak with you now after we finish the technical issues regarding this specific webinar. Let me spend a few more minutes about SysAid 8.5 and the beta process that we currently have here in SysAid. As I mentioned yesterday, we launched our beta for version 8.5. The official version, by the way, will be just in a month, about February 15. And I would like to ask from you and speak with you a bit about it. We have a weekly cycles of beta until the official release. Means yesterday was the first beta number 1, and each and every week we are going to launch a new beta version with fixes for all bugs that were found during the previous week beta cycle, until we hopefully will have a stable release at the official release. We would like to ask you to participate in this beta process. It will be very beneficial if as many customers as possible will participate in the beta process, whether it will be on a production environment or on the test environment. We have, of course, a specific QA team here in SysAid, but we can simulate all environments of all customers around the world, and you probably know that SysAid has thousands of customers worldwide, so it will be very beneficial and helpful if you will help us during this beta process. Here we have a specific beta team to receive all incoming calls and tickets. So if you submit a ticket regarding a beta issue, it doesn't have to wait in the queue like any other ticket. It will come directly to a beta team that will provide service as fast as possible. And we have specific beta forums and community in our SysAid community. We have, based on previous beta processes, we have a beta specific forum for the beta where you can submit and post your issues and to see if anyone encounter the specific problem, or you want to post something else, and get, of course, answers from our technical support. So use the beta forum in the community for all beta issues as well. It will be very helpful if you will help us checking languages regarding French, Italian, German, Hebrew, any other language. If we had a typo, or we must maybe missed something. Of course, we are using an external company to help us with the translation, but sometimes they miss, or we're only humans. So any typo or any small issue that we have in the translation also will be very beneficial. Just to let you know that any issue that will rise during the beta process, it will be easier for us to fix. The development team of SysAid is working and is devoted to the beta process, and any bug that we find during the beta process, they are here to help, they are here to fix, and any bugs coming after the official release, it's very hard for us to get minor releases and minor versions after the official one. So, but during the beta, it's the best time to submit issues regarding any problem or any bugs that you find. Let's hope you will find as less as possible. All tickets, if you submit a ticket regarding the beta, all tickets should include steps to reproduce. It will be easier for us to track after the issue instead of trying to reproduce it here on our end. Any screenshots, if available, also will be highly appreciated. And if you can attach the logs. Let me show you something. In the 8.5 release, we have introduced a new feature that will help us to gather all the logs information. If I'm going from the main menu to, let me go to full screen. If I'm going to preferences, about, you have here a link called download SysAid logs for technical support. So whenever you encounter an issue and you want to report on a bug, click on this specific link. It will prompt you to save these files, and whenever you submit the ticket, attach these files to the ticket. Then it will save cycles for us to ask if you can send us the log and things like that. So it will be also highly appreciated. And just to let you know as well, we are available to do a remote control with you almost immediately, because we have a specific beta team and we have long shifts for the beta team as well. So we will be available for remote control almost immediately. So use this functionality or this service that we provide. Let me thank you all for participating and joining this SLA SLM webinar. Next month, by the way, the webinar will focus on the 8.5 release. It, by the way, will be done by our product management team. And again, just want to thank you for joining this session. Sorry, before summarizing, I would like to ask you also if you could fill out the survey. This is the page where you're viewing the live broadcast right now. So here you have a link to a quick webinar survey. Again, filling out the survey helps us to improve and provide you with a better service and a better webinars in the future. So spend a minute or one or 2 minutes in order to fill out this survey. And again, thank you all for joining, and hope to see you in the next webinars as well.